People are getting all outraged about Eula once again, saying that she's like a slave owner or that her backstory promotes slavery. I'll show you the new tweets in a moment, but if you haven't seen some of the ones from a few months ago, this was a big example. So these people were not just wanting to cancel Eula, they were saying it's more than that. And POC are heartbroken because of her, when the fact is most players, including POC, don't use Twitter and aren't constantly looking for things to complain about. They're just enjoying the game. Oftentimes people who post things like that are really privileged in life. They don't know what it's like to go have a hard day's work and then return home and just want to play a game for a bit and enjoy yourself, get some relaxation. It's also extraordinarily egotistical of them to think that they can make a tweet that takes like 5 minutes to make and that's making some big difference in the world. It's like, no man, get off Twitter and actually make a difference if you actually care about this stuff. Now, I'm not saying people have to do what I do, but I'll give you an example of what I've done to help my local communities. I've ran my own homeless outreach programs going around LA County with some friends, distributing kits, including hand sanitizer, some clothing, things that would help in daily life. Most people appreciated it and accepted them, but some people actually denied them, and that's fine. I've also volunteered at a church multiple times as security, where they did a dinner mealtime on Friday nights, and it was actually easier than it sounds. For the most part, I just talked to homeless people, although there was one time where a homeless dude literally pulled a knife on a child. That was pretty crazy. So here's the new situation. There's this account, Make Up a Genshin Player, that made a tweet about Eula getting canceled. Then they got backlash for it and ended up deleting the tweet and issued this apology saying, "Hello everyone, I'm just here to say I sincerely apologize for posting the submission about people trying to cancel Eula. I wasn't aware about the situation about her. Thank you for bringing it up to my attention through the forums. Again, I'm sorry for posting it. Now that the account is growing, I'm also opening DMs for removals and removals only. If you see anything wrong, please send the post to me and I'll delete it ASAP. Context: I'm not as sure with what the whole situation was about, but from what I was informed of, Eula's story is anti-black, and others were trying to educate people about it to the point where it was seen as canceling a fictional character." Well, as you saw in the other tweet, there was over 700 people saying it's more than just being canceled, which is really funny because people have also tried to deny that now, saying, despite what Hero Hey and others alike have told you, no one actually tried to cancel a fictional character. People were either uncomfortable or were making jokes about her. Yeah, except I post the receipts, and my prior coverage has almost 500,000 views. So good luck trying to lie about that one. Like, check this out. Here's someone not just complaining about Eula, but apparently they had also complained about Deluge. I wonder what that was about. And someone said this in response. And then there's this whole thing. You ready for this one? So this person is responding to this tweet. Let's take a look at that first, get the context. With over 12,000 likes, Ace says, "Reminder, just because miHoYo is now a multi-billion-dollar company because of the unexpected popularity explosion of Genshin Impact doesn't mean they do not deserve respect. 1,500 people work there. That means 1,500 people's livelihoods depend on the game and company's success. The devs put their heart and soul in the game, which is clearly visible if you've played it for more than 10 minutes. They deserve all the respect in the world for giving so much and letting us experience it. You don't get to be racist or ableist or even a jerk to them, and then give the excuse of, miHoYo is a multi-billion-dollar company to hide behind. That's scummy. Real people with real lives work there." And I agree with that. I've criticized major companies before, specifically Sony, lesser extent Rooster Teeth, not lesser extent to my criticism, just they're not nearly as big of a company as Sony. And I'll never, use bigotry to criticize them. That doesn't even make sense. I'll criticize their business decisions, and that's really it. Actually, case in point with a very recent example, miHoYo. And the anniversary rewards, or a lack thereof. Criticized that, gave some suggestions as to better rewards like an anniversary banner, but that absolutely doesn't mean you just act bigoted towards them. As a matter of fact, I would even say most of the people that act bigoted towards others are trying to look for any excuse to justify their own bigotry. And that's part of why some people on Twitter hate me so much for making videos like this. They can't stand having a spotlight put on their own terrible actions. There's only a few tweets left here by Ace. We'll finish reading those briefly, and then we'll move back on to that response we were taking a look at a moment ago. The person responding to Ace, and apparently disagreeing with him. The marketing team definitely could do a better job, I will admit, but you don't get to justify this behavior or the defense of it either. I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize them for things you don't like, but respect the wishes and will of the people that even let you play the game you love. They made the game. If you can't respect the wishes of its creators, without which it wouldn't exist, kindly disappear from my site. And the response, specifically to the tweet where Ace said, you don't get to be racist or ableist or a jerk to them, and hide behind the excuse of them just being $1 million company. So this person says that miHoYo has actually been racist and ableist, and it's not racist or ableist to call it the company's bigotry. Okay, you do understand that you can call out bigotry without using bigotry to call it out, right? I don't understand what this person's trying to say. They then go on to write in all caps. I'm not going to read this, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. They claim that miHoYo demonized autism and wanted to cure it in a game or something, and they say that what? Okay, so this person is one of the really disingenuous people that says that Jinyan is seen as scary because of her skin tone. We've been over that time and time again. That's not the case at all. The only way you could possibly think that, in my opinion, is if you are bigoted yourself and you're projecting it onto Xinyan and the lore, because it makes it pretty clear that that's not the case. For the millionth time, the lore is referring to her outfit. You know, the spikes and all of that, it's an aggressive outfit compared to the majority of characters in Genshin. And then what do we have here? Kai has been called exotic too. Isn't he literally from Mondstadt? Why is he being called exotic by the people there? Not to mention, oh, here we go. Eula's relatives are slave owners. I get that Eula doesn't support it, but that doesn't excuse the fact that the company decided to add slavery into their fantasy game. Okay, if you're serious with this take, I hope you're going to call out literally every single game and piece of media that has ever used slavery in it then, or you're just picking like Genshin Impact because it's trendy and popular. They then said, correction, Kai isn't from Mondstadt, still calling him exotic is still very weird. Back to that thread from Make Up a Genshin Player, there's some interesting responses you might want to see as well. For example, Gage says, how is Eula's story anti-black? I'm confused. This person responds, says, her background, not her story. Her ancestors had a history of owning slaves. Okay, for one, that doesn't automatically make something anti-black. Like, raising awareness to how bad slavery isn't anti-black. But Soup has a different take and says, it's not a reference to black people being slaves, more about how ancient Romans had them, but okay. And then Gage says, yeah, I was confused because there was never any anti-blackness. Akali says, I didn't see one single part of the story that is anti-black. If it's the slaves part, then it's just not black people that are. I'm talking about the past. There are also Asian or even whites during the Roman Empire era. Mistake says, ooh, nice profile pic, by the way. It's not related to her story quest. People were upset that her ancestors from 1,000 years ago owned slaves. And Akali's like, oh, so who are they blaming, Eula or her ancestors? Frag says Eula, despite the fact that she doesn't want to associate with them. Okay, I have seen like both sides. I've seen some people saying that Eula gets a pass for it because she's trying to be better. But as we've seen already in this video even, like there's also people that still say Eula's problematic for it and that she's some sort of elitist or something. We've got more people here making rebuttals, again bringing up the points about Romans and how the context is more about Romans, and also that there were other people that were also slaves besides black people. I also wonder if some of the people complaining about this stuff don't realize that slavery still exists in this world. Luckily, it's been greatly stamped out across the world, but there are still places where it's very prevalent. Person NG says Eula literally becomes Knight of Favonius because she wants to fight against everything her family stands for, including slavery and such. Do people in this fandom know how to read? Also, please don't apologize for this. It's Genshin Twit being itself again. So, again, going back to just wanting to make a hot take on Twitter to get likes, I think some of these people don't really care. You know, they're just going to find any reason to complain about this stuff. Extraordinarily disingenuous. I think you get the point. I gotta say, I'm also kind of shocked that this topic is even being brought up again. Maybe that's foolish on my part because I've been around Twitter enough where I should know, you know, people will drag up anything, as we've said, to get likes and engagement and all that. But it's like, man, people already complained about this months ago. Really? Somehow I'm still kind of surprised, but here we are. It is the reality of the situation. Yeah, I guess it's me being foolish. You know, people will even literally drag up Uzaki videos I made from a year and a half ago now, or almost a year and a half ago, and complain about that. So if they're willing to complain about literal Uzaki-chan videos where I was even saying to them, like, I'm only making these videos because you keep complaining about it and I'm going to make easy money off you, I guess I'm not surprised in the least that people would drag up this whole Eula complaint all over again too. Oh, and the final point I'll say again, like I brought up in the last one, because it is a good point, you know. MiHoYo's a Chinese company, CCP, Chinese government, commits human rights atrocities every single day. And let me make it very clear, I'm not talking about Chinese people. I'm literally talking about the government, the Chinese government. They do terrible, terrible things. So it's weird to me when I see people complaining about a video game character instead of, you know, things like that if they actually have concern for this stuff. I'm not trying to be snarky here either. I mean, I think they would be a better use of time to better the quality of lives of people if they actually talked about that instead. And again, you know, maybe did some things to help people in real life in their local communities that need help. Although, of course, I don't know where they live. You know, there's just some suggestions here from a humble weeb with a mic. That's all I am at the end of the day. Don't gotta listen to me. That's my take. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. And I look forward to catching you in the next one.